The word love is a 4-letter word, and there's one word for love. There's a zillion ways to explain it. I feel like the word love does it injustice, and it also hits the bullseye. If there's anything that we're all learning on this planet, it's how to love. All of humanity. We're learning how to love ourselves and love one another. And the earth has that special quality of love. When we remove the filters and the fears and the stories of limitation, what we're left with is a I think John Lennon was onto something when he said, all we need is love. Yeah. I think love is inside that sacred space of the heart, that tiny little place that we're all looking to protect and to release from protection. Love is misunderstood. People are afraid to love because they're afraid of a misunderstanding. They don't know what to do with it when it comes. The Eskimos have 78 different ways of describing snow. I grew up in Minnesota. I think we have like 13. Eskimos have like 70 something. Like that's how many dimensions of love. We need different words to describe it. When a person really allows that space of unconditional love to come through, people want it to mean something more than what it means. A structure to that love. They want it to define something rather than that is just the way of our natural way of being, of relating to one another. To open that space of the heart and to live in it. That's the energy that we possessed as the early childhood being, as a young child, before we started creating layers on top of that. It is vulnerable, and we're not taught how to create a feeling of security in the vulnerability. Love is a feeling of non-resistance, simultaneously a feeling of expansion and connection. Is almost uncontrollable. It's birthing out of your sacred space of the heart. Imagine like if you're freezing. If you're freezing, we go inward. We bring warmth into our heart so that it's coveting that last bit of life. The sacred space of the heart is like that. That it's the thing that we need to feel alive and free and sovereign and flowing, and it's the thing that we protect, that we don't want to have be taken away, that we don't want to have be hurt. It is an experience of non-resistance, and it's experience of interconnection and expansion, all happening simultaneously. It doesn't follow logical rules. You don't always choose who you fall in love with. It's the language of the heart. It's what called us here to this planet. It's like her vibration of love out into the universe. It's what binds us to our children, how we communicate with one another. That mother's intuition, that the child is hurt and she needs to go, like that is all like the language of the heart space. Love is a non-compartmentalized experience of oneself. When I go to my son and I give him love, there's an element of my soul that is eternal. How I find it is through physical touch. I'll put my hand on his head. When you feel the love in someone else, you feel it in their whole presence. You have your emotional body, you have your eyes, your physical warmth of your body, your spirit, you have your expansion, all responding to the moment together. And that's like what we're hungry for. We're used to having an experience that is compartmentalized. Love is when you accept someone else exactly how they're showing up. And I say that to my son when I put him to bed and he's acting crazy or telling me something nasty. I say, I might be creating a line right now and saying that there is no story and I'm putting you to bed, but I am not taking love away from you. Love is the safety and security. Love is the trust in oneself, the trust in goodness that allows energy to move. Like there's a saying in Lakota, Daku akan shkashka, like things are always in moving. It is in motion. Love ultimately is the polarity to fear. Love creates motion, fear creates stagnation. Love creates harmony, fear creates distortion. So there's this type of healing called osteopathy. They train as medical doctors first, and then they go on to train in osteopathy. This is how it is in the US anyway. Non-invasive. What it does is it holds a consciousness. So it finds a distortion in a pattern. So it could be in your bone if you broke something. It can be in your heart if you've had emotional disturbance. Like anything under the sun can show up as a distortion in your field. An osteopath will find the distortion and hold consciousness there. It will just witness it. And in that witnessing, the distortion changes, and it finds its own balance again. And it shows that in the human organism, we have balance. And given the right environment, we will come back into balance. And when we are in a place of love, which all of us can relate to at some point, like look at if you've ever been in love, look at if you've ever seen someone in love, what does it look like? Like they're smiling, they're generous, they are lovely to be around. In moments where I have been in love in my life, like people flock to us. Like they come and they think that for some reason, like they know me or they know us or that it's familiar, because we all like crave that. We all understand that vibration. We all understand the language of love. I was telling someone at the coffee shop the other day, she made me a coffee and it had a heart shaped in it. And the moment I saw it, I thought, oh, I love this, thank you. If you did nothing else in the world but made coffee with hearts in it, like you would be doing a service. Because I feel amazing right now. And I'm drinking love, thank you. This little girl, Agatha, she's like 2 years old. And the flamingo dancer, our friend Sarah, was taking a break and she's drinking water. And Agatha comes up to her and she says in Spanish, she says, "Are you drinking love?" And we're like, yes, okay, don't forget. That's what we are always doing. Are you drinking love? Are you eating love? Are you speaking love? And if you're not, just take a moment, take a breath, step back, and like find it. Find what makes you feel love. Love is non-resistance to what is. Love is the present moment expressing itself. Look at music. Look at all the songs in music. The eternal story of, love, like Romeo and Juliet, love creating and love heartbreaking. It's like where our passions arise, and great music and art and all of that are created from is the love or the lack of love. About the Syrian refugee camps, and she was talking to the women in the camps, and she wanted to know about like how hard it was that they lost their home and they're in these camps. And she said, you know what all of the women wanted to talk about? This guy they met in the camp. Something about their love. They didn't want to talk about losing their house or their job or not having any food. They wanted to talk about their relationships. That's like even more primal than food and shelter. Why don't we just give that so freely? It's free. All you need is love.